Time to light the match for the burning truth with Casey Hendrickson.
Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in to The Burning Truth. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Do you want to thank R&B Car Company, locations in South Bend, Warsaw, and Fort Wayne? Go to rbcarcompany.com. As always, you can watch the live stream on Rumble. Go to rumble.com/Casey the host. If you're there, please hit the thumbs up button. Hit subscribe if you haven't done so already. So I'm going to start with Logansport, Indiana. Now, Logansport is in Cass County, which is kind of outskirts-ish for my audience, but I think that the story, well, basically, I'll give it to you straight. The people of Logansport have been blowing me. They've been blowing everybody else at WoWo up, for those of you in the Allen County area. And they are desperately just trying to get some attention on what's happening in Logansport, so we're going to give it to them. Now, if you go to WoWo.com, and WoWo is, again, our big station out there in Allen County, Fort Wayne. If you go to WoWo.com, Kayla did a bid on this, and it's on the website for you to go ahead and listen to. And she did a very good segment on that, and I encourage you to listen to it. I told you guys several days ago, I started getting tagged in a bunch of stuff from people in Logansport and people in the surrounding area, and they're like, hey, please pay attention to Logansport. This is when we were talking about Springfield, Ohio. So I'd heard that Fox 59 had a crew there and was interviewing people, and I kept waiting for the story to drop and waiting for the story to drop. I've got people who are telling me that they were interviewed like 3 days ago. I still don't have a story from Fox 59. So I don't know if they're still putting the package together or if they've decided not to air it. I don't really know what's going on. I haven't talked with Fox 59 about it. All I know is I was expecting the story to drop, and this is a much longer time frame than you typically see with a television news story. But I do see a bunch of people who were interviewed, and they don't have very positive things to say about what has been happening in Logansport. So we started getting tagged in it. Kayla said the same thing, that she was just getting, inundated with people saying, hey, can you cover this for us? So we're going to do that. Is Logansport, Indiana, the Springfield, Ohio of Indiana? And, the latest in the Springfield, Ohio fiasco is that the mayor gave himself emergency powers to, and I quote, mitigate public safety concerns as threats continue to swarm the city. You mean the threats that the governor says are from foreign governments? But the governor won't tell you what foreign governments they're from, which is another thing that kind of irks me. He's out there saying that, no, these are foreign actors. These aren't legitimate. Okay. If that's the case, can you tell us who the foreign entity is that's trying to interfere in American politics? I would like to hear what that is. And, of course, he's not telling anybody what that is, which is not okay. But the mayor has, and here's the thing, you need to understand something. There's a lot of news articles out there saying that the mayor has been given emergency powers, the Springfield, Ohio mayor. The mayor was not given emergency powers. The mayor took them. The mayor took emergency powers. About a little over a week ago, we found out that state troopers and $2.5 million are being sent to Springfield, Ohio from the governor of the state. Now, I was asking Morgan this before the show. I guess I'll ask you this now. Why do you need to send a bunch of troopers to a small town and $2.5 million along with them if there isn't a problem? And anybody got an answer to that? They keep telling you there's no problem in Springfield, Ohio. Well, the residents all disagree. Now, I suppose there's an outlier chance that all of the residents who have been talking about this are lying to everybody. That's folks, that is it. Like, either there's some truth to what they're saying or they're all lying. There's no in between here. And while the left wants to keep focusing on, cats and dogs, that's not the big issue, although everybody seems to be indicating that that is happening, at least to some extent. All right. Well, if there's no issue, why are state troopers and $2.5 million about a week ago being sent by the governor down to Springfield, Ohio? The mayor is claiming emergency powers. The residents of Springfield, Ohio, are the ones that say that they keep getting threatened with machetes and stuff. So I don't understand where the whole the Haitians or the victims thing is kind of coming from. Now, again, there are going to be some Haitians that are there to work, and they're going to be good citizens and do what they can. And you know what I mean by citizen, okay? Doing what they can, just trying to make a better life. But there's going to be others that are not. And that's what people are trying to draw attention to, is some of the stuff that is happening that is not okay. Things that are a danger to the city, drains on the resources, Haitians being able to drive and get these weird 45-day licenses that the average person there cannot get. There's clearly a drain on resources. In Springfield, Ohio, and the reason I bring this up is because the allegation is being made about Logansport as well, Logansport, Indiana. Adults are being registered in public school, and they're going into the classroom with children because Haitians don't have education. So a lot of them are being registered for school. There was instances that were brought up at city council meetings in Springfield, Ohio, where you had 16 and 17-year-olds in classrooms with 11 and 12-year-olds because that was their capability. Now, do I need to point out the potential danger of having a 16 or a 17-year-old in a classroom with an 11 and 12-year-old? That doesn't mean inherently that individual is a predator, but it certainly does create some dynamics that are less than appealing. Well, we're hearing that the same thing is happening in Logansport. So I wanted to kind of dive into this. There's a couple of bits and pieces of information out there, but then what you also have all over X is a bunch of people from Logansport giving their perspective, which is completely different than the mayor, Chris Martin's perspective, and that needs to be said. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying I'm not telling you that Mayor Martin is lying to you. I don't know. Not going to lie, my suitcase from Europe is only half unpacked. I'm considering spending some time in Logansport here in the near future. We'll see if we can get that underwritten by the company, Morgan. Can you write me a nice AI-generated letter requesting that I go to Logansport to serve my audience in a market that isn't at all top tier for the audience of the show, but is still nonetheless pretty important, I think, in the overall scope of things. We'll see if they're willing to do that. No, I'm not going to stay on your kitchen floor in Logansport if you're in Logansport. Sorry, I don't travel that way. It's 2 stars or no stars, folks. All right, so we have a lot of people in Logansport that are saying the exact opposite of what the mayor is saying. I'm not telling you that the mayor's lying. I'm just saying, hey, we've got a lot of people saying the exact opposite. And it would, I think, benefit everybody if we actually listen to them. And hear me out. Here's why. Governments at all levels have completely cast any trust that you should have for them right in the garbage disposal before they spit on it, before they peed on it, before they pooped on it, and then threw it in the trash and then dumped it on your lawn. Everything that local governments have been telling you over the past several years has been absolute garbage. And that's why when you have these local officials saying, no, why won't you believe us when all of this stuff is going on? Because you have no grace anymore. Nobody believes anything that you're saying. A prime example is what is happening in Aurora, Colorado. Did we or did we not, Morgan, have the mayor of the city say that was a figment of people's imagination and the governor of the state? This gang taking over buildings, figment of people's imagination. Well, son of a gun, it's real. That Venezuelan gang is real. It's not a figment of anybody's imagination, but the local authorities and the state authorities told you that it was. And they've been doing this on all sorts of issues, going back through COVID and everything else. So, yeah, I mean, maybe Mayor Martin is not telling a lie here. I don't know. But I can tell you that his constituents have a dramatically different story than what he is telling. And at some point in time, I suppose we have to say, you know what? I think local government officials have lied to us enough that maybe we need to at least give the people who live there an opportunity to kind of tell us what's going on, because maybe what they're saying isn't so crazy. And maybe the only reason that government officials are telling us that they're crazy is because those government officials are getting paid. Whether it's individually or they're filling their coffers with federal money. We do, after all, live in a state led by the chinless wonder, Eric Holcomb himself, who went on television and told you that he was going to keep COVID restrictions on your kids, not because they work, but because he wanted the federal grant money. Let's not forget that. So we're sitting here with the possibility that Logansport, Indiana might in fact be turning into Springfield, Ohio. They want you to believe that nothing's wrong in Springfield, Ohio. The only problem with that is everybody in Springfield, Ohio disagrees. Everybody. So, I'm going to talk about Logansport, Indiana. And we're going to see if there might be something here and tell you what the allegations are and why this might be a bit of a problem, particularly when you're remaking an entire city's demographics and swapping its culture, literally overnight. These are things that are always a bit traumatic and usually don't have a positive outcome, certainly not in the near term. Talk about all of that and more coming up. You're listening to The Burning Truth. All right, so temporary protective status for Haiti is something that Trump killed off in 2019. The Biden administration reinstated in August of 2021. And let's see, May 2021, Secretary Mayorkas announced that a decision to issue a new 18-month designation for Haiti for TPS. And so put that on August 3rd, the designation would go into effect. The notice directs current TPS holders whose protections remain in effect due to the preliminary injunctions in the court cases that were involved, Ramos and Saget, to register as new applicants during the registration period because that will ensure that their continued protection even if the injunctions are vacated, but recognizes the protections for such individuals will remain in effect as long as the injunctions remain in effect. This is all stuff from the DHS. So again, Trump ended the temporary protective status because the hurricane situation had resolved and tried to send people who are here temporarily under temporary protected status back to their homeland. And as a result, of course, they fought it in the courts. Democrats fought it, and those people were able to stay. So this is the Mercer County outlook. While at least 3 Ohio communities are dealing with an influx of Haitian migrants, one Indiana community, Logansport, is now the focus of the same circumstance. Population in Logansport, as of the last census, is just over 18,000 people. Now, according to statements made, the population has increased by 30% since 2021, roughly 5,400 people. Hey, that's a lot of folks. That is a lot of people to have a 30% population increase in just a few years. Mayor Chris Martin's statement at the Board of Works meeting. The rumors recently spread through social media are disappointing. It's disappointing that we must address the rumors due to this belief of social media satire page. Okay, what's the social media satire page? This is slowing down local government from solving concerns and challenges. These circumstances are being misrepresented. And we are gathering data, talking with community leaders, state officials, and are in contact with the governor's office. We are a diverse community and have been for a very long time. Our community is aware of large numbers of immigrants. I'm asking that citizens please refrain from false statements, especially those that threaten the lives of others. Okay. What's the satire page? Go on, Mayor. What's the satire page? The Logansport Police Chief, Travis Yike. We will continue to treat the residents of our community with dignity and respect on or off duty. We do not use stereotypes, racial profiling, or discrimination to our jobs. Our officers will continue to do their jobs with integrity and professionalism. Okay, that's a non-statement, but whatever. Well, you start looking into a lot of this, and there's a lot of people who are saying, "Hey, wait a minute. Why are there so many that are now coming into this community?" This is a small community now. So the Pharaoh's Tribune. No, 25,000 Haitian immigrants have not been bused into Logansport. Mayor Chris Martin opened Wednesday's Board of Works meeting with a statement addressing the many rumors swirling around on the city on social media in regards to fast-spreading misinformation concerning immigrants. Okay. The rumors recently spread, yada, 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 satire, whatever. Martin addressed several points, including that the federal or state government has not asked the city to house a minority group. no local government money has been directed to one minority group in the community, and the local government officers did not bring anyone into the city, nor do they have the power in removing anybody from the community. You actually do have the power to remove them, but I digress. The circumstances are being misrepresented, and we are gathering data, talking to community leaders, etc. Martin said that he would formally ask the federal government to assist the community. After the meeting, he clarified the city would ask for financial aid to help any local program that may be overtaxed. Okay, so let me again, brass tacks, take a step back. All right, Mayor Martin, why do you need to ask for federal assistance with any city financial aid program that might be overtaxed if there isn't an issue? See, they keep telling you that there isn't a problem, but then they need money to fix a problem that they say doesn't exist. Why is that? I suppose you have a couple of different answers. Either there is a problem and you're kind of covering it up, or there isn't a problem and you're just using it as a grift to take money from the federal government so you can build your coffers up. I don't know which one of those is more accurate. While 25,000 immigrants were not bused into the city, Martin said that the population had increased by 30% since 2021. Okay, that's a 10% population increase every single year, and that is a lot. Now, why is there a 10% population boom in Logansport, Indiana? Why would that be? Are you folks in Logansport that bored you keep popping out babies? Or might it be some other program? Again, just use a basic foundation of facts, some simple logic. 30% increase in the population, which is 10% per year since 2021. And you're going to seek federal assistance to help any overburdened financial aid programs in the city, yet you're telling us that there isn't any issue. So what do you need? What do you need any of that for? Starting to understand something? See, folks, they're keeping things from you. They don't want you to know about it. Now, maybe the number isn't 25,000. Maybe the number's a lot smaller than that, but that doesn't change the fact that this is a small place that's had a 30% population increase in just a few years. And the people of Logansport are saying that they can't sustain it. And even the mayor's admitting that he's going to ask the federal government for help on a program with financial aid programs, but he's still telling you that there isn't a problem. That's unusual, don't you think? Got more coming up. You're tuned in to The Burning Truth.
The Burning Truth with Casey Hendrickson.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning into The Burning Truth. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Do want to thank R&B Car Company locations in South Bend, Warsaw, and Fort Wayne. Again, let them know that I sent you. Like I said, I just, if there isn't an issue there, if it's all fake news and misinformation, then why is the mayor going to formally ask the federal government to assist the community and ask for any financial aid help to local programs that might be overtaxed? Okay, which one is it? Which one is it? I just, that's the thing. You know, like I said, people in Logansport are all over the internet, and they're talking about it. Like I said, at some point, you have to at least listen to the people, right? So if you're in the area, they have, tomorrow what the Cass County Commissioners and the Cass County Council will be meeting. And you got some additional Board of Public Works meeting is going to be on the 25th if you're in the area. So it's just, I said, these things don't make a lot of sense. If you're out there telling everybody this isn't happening, but at the same time, we're going to get help from the federal government anyway. What do you need help from the federal government? Just like when you go to Springfield, Ohio. Why do you need emergency powers because of threats coming into the city when the governor says the threats are coming from a foreign country and they're not credible, they're hoaxes? And why are you giving yourself emergency powers instead of, having somebody else give it to you? It seems to me like you're just seeking emergency powers for the sake of seeking emergency powers. So there's a survey in Marion County. The teachers want more respect and better pay. Okay. I think that that's probably universal sentiment for most people who work anywhere. I suppose that is something. Wasn't it last year that they approved a 9% pay raise for teachers from the Marion Community School Board? I'm pretty sure it was last year. There's a 9% increase that they did. I don't cover Marion all that much, but I'm pretty sure it was 9%. I think it was last year. So something that I ran into just the other day, which I kind of joked about it. The only reason I'm even talking about this story is it came up that they wanted more pay and that they wanted more respect. I think teachers do deserve more respect, and I think most of the time that lack of respect comes from the faculty administration and not the students, sometimes not even the parents. But I ran into an article the other day where they ranked the best places to be a teacher. Now, the reason that this is a campaign issue every time there's an election is because the Democratic Party of Indiana is always making the teacher and education issue a thing. Every time there's an election, Republicans have cut education funding. There is no cut in education funding. We have massively increased education funding in the state of Indiana. It is now half of our budget. And it has gone up exponentially since 2017. So that's not true. The other thing is they always tout that teachers don't get paid well, outcomes aren't good here, and the outcomes aren't good because the teachers aren't paid well, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's all an appeasement to the teachers union. That's all it is. Teachers union has a lot of weight with the Democratic Party in the state of Indiana, and the Democratic Party doesn't have a lot of massive resources in the state, and so the teachers union has traumatic pull. Well, Wallet Hub has ranked Indiana as one of the top 10 best places to be a teacher. Huh. Well, that's a little weird because I was told by the Indiana Democratic Party and a certain gubernatorial candidate right now that Indiana was, Satan's butt of places to be a teacher. Huh. Wallet Hub considered all 50 states and the District of Columbia against 24 different matrices, including teacher salary. Wow. Public school funding and student-to-teacher ratios. Indiana does great in all of those, by the way. It's not the best, but it does great in all of those. Indiana is the 10th best place to be a teacher. New York's number 1, Washington's number 2, Virginia 3, Utah 4, Maryland 5, Illinois 6, Georgia 7, Florida 8, California 9, and then there's Indiana. Now, of course, of those, most of those states, massive salaries. And so I'm looking at this thing, and I posted it yesterday. I said, I bet the Democrats that completely ignore this in the state of Indiana, that Indiana is ranked as one of the best places, one of the top 10 places to be a teacher in the United States. I'll bet that they ignore that because it's not on message for them. And just today, less than 24 hours later, the Indiana Democratic Party pushes this out. Marion County teachers want more respect and better pay. Okay, they get paid more than the state average, and they get their minimum salary in most districts in Marion County is $50,000. That's to start. Like, that's entry level, guys. That's a lot of money for an entry level position. Now, if you're in that entry-level position, you're like, $50,000 isn't that much money. Yeah, okay, fine, but it's only $53,000 on average for anybody in the Hoosier State. And that's the average. So the teachers in Marion County, once again, I'm not saying that they don't deserve to get paid more. That's never my point when I talk about these things. There's certainly an argument to be made that certain professions deserve more money. And I would tend to agree with you on those things if said person meets the criteria for expanded pay. And oftentimes those teachers do, and oftentimes they don't. But we don't get rid of the ones that don't in order to reward those that do. We continue to use the gym model, which is we have to have more teachers, and you only need more teachers if you don't have discipline in the classroom, and you don't have discipline in the classroom, and the school administration doesn't actually back teachers in getting problem kids out of the classroom. So if you're going to go out there and say, we want more respect and more pay, I'm all with the more respect thing. But if you want better pay, you have to not be way better paid than the average person in the state. That becomes a very tough thing for people to swallow. So if you're looking at this, I mean, yeah, maybe you deserve it, folks. And I'm not saying that you don't. But if you're going to make that argument, you can't make it from a pay alone. You have to make it from a different perspective. Because if you get paid more than the average person in the state and you go, I'm not paid enough, the average person in the state is going to look at you and go, well, neither am I. So what? Deal with it. Like I said, that doesn't mean that you don't deserve it because your position is very important. And if you're good at your job, I think you should be rewarded. But we have not embraced a merit system. So this is kind of what we're stuck with. Now, the respect thing, yeah, absolutely. 100% agree with you. Teachers deserve respect in that classroom. They should have the ability to remove individuals from that classroom that sucks and are not good at all. You know, I ran into an article in the Indy Star that was published in 2021. It pays to teach in Marion County. Huh. Yeah, because you get paid a lot. Now, you might want more pay, but all right. The average pay in 2021 in Marion County is over $60,000. Now, that's the average. Wayne Township Schools has the highest average at $68,737 in 2021. Starting salary in most Marion County school districts is $50,000. I mean, that's, folks, you're starting to run into some serious money there. It ain't going to make you rich, but when the average person in the state is only making about $53,000, and your first-year teacher that hasn't taught a single class is making, near what people have been working in their job for 20 years is making, yeah, you start to run out of sympathy with a lot of people. But like I said, the Democratic Party was never going to tell you that Indiana ranks as one of the top places to be a teacher. And honestly, the way that you've heard it advertised and marketed over the past several years, yeah, you wouldn't know that. And I said every gubernatorial election, the Democrats, go to bat by saying that, hey, Republicans have been cutting education funding. They've been damaging our schools. McCormick is doing it right now. I've called her to task on it several times on her social media because she's lying about it. And every time she points out some glaring awfulness about public education in the state, I have to remind her that she once was in charge of it. Why didn't she fix that problem? It wasn't anybody else. It was her. She was the one who ran the thing. So if it was so bad, then why didn't she fix it? And why would she continue to lie about it? Well, because they're okay with lying to you in order to get your votes. They don't really care. It's half of our budget, folks. Massive increases since 2017. We have prioritized education funding in the state of Indiana more so than almost every other state in the entire country. Now we have to start asking ourselves, at what point do we maybe lay off of that a little bit and start expecting some return on that investment? Because I don't know if you've been listening to my show where I give you the updated test results, but we're not getting a lot of that return on investment, at least not yet. Got more coming up. You're tuned in to The Burning Truth. Hey, one of those other things that government officials lied to you about was furries. Remember that? Remember when they told you there's no furries happening at schools? Remember that, Morgan? It's a myth. It's some conspiracy, some right-wing hate-mongering conspiracy online. And then all of the videos started surfacing of the furries showing up at the schools and because all kids have cell phones now. I don't know if the grown-ups forgot the kids have cell phones or the grown-ups are surprised because they told the kids to leave the cell phones at home and not bring them to school and that the kids disobeyed them and they were like, how could you disobey us? I don't know. But the kids started posting the videos of the furries at the school terrorizing other kids. And you were told that that was a myth. So it was another one of those things that you were told did not exist, yet it exists. We had a furry situation here in this area too, not that long ago. which you were all told was fake and then turned out to be real? Have you heard about the rise in species dysphoria, Morgan? That's not your typical furry situation. It's a little bit more dramatic than that. A secondary school pupil in Britain is said to suffer from species dysphoria, which is when somebody claims that their body belongs to a different species. What species would your body belong to, Morgan, if you had your pick of the litter?
The specific drawing of the liger from Napoleon Dynamite.
You can go with the liger. Yeah, I'm going to be something with tentacles. I figure I could have fun with that. The secondary school pupil is said to suffer from species dysphoria. Calm down. Jeez. You don't have food in your mouth, dude. You're going to die over there. So the student who has species dysphoria is getting a lot of support from the teachers. A lot of support. Not a tentacle kid. All right? Different type of kid. We'll get to that. Growing numbers of school children are said to be taking on the personalities of creatures, including foxes, dragons, birds, snakes, sharks, and even dinosaurs. Does that mean that they turn themselves into, like, petroleum? Can you identify as something that's extinct? I don't know. Somebody's got dragon on there. Although, technically, we do have a couple of dragons that still exist. However, clinical neuropsychologist Dr. Tommy McKay insisted last night that there is no such condition in science as species dysphoria. Okay. There may not be, Dr. McKay, but there also didn't used to be certain other things. And now they are. So I'm just throwing it out there. He's like, there's no species dysphoria. That's not even a thing in science. Yes. And there's other things that weren't a thing in science too. It's not surprising that we are seeing this in an age when many people want to identify as something other than they are. I mean, why would you want to identify as yourself if you're being told that you're evil? That's the thing. You tell somebody that everything that their species is, that their heritage is, that their gender is evil. You tell them that. Why would they want to identify that way when they grow up? Now we have a council which appears to accept at face value that a child identifies as a wolf rather than being told to snap out of it and get to grips with themselves, which would be the common sense approach. That is the doctor talking. Of course, he will be disbarred or whatever they do over there in Britain. He'll lose his medical license here in short order. Confirmation of the first known case in Scotland in which a school has recognized that a pupil identifies as an aminal was revealed in official documents. The Daily Mail knows the name of the council involved, but has decided not to disclose it to protect the identity of the child that is concerned. The local authority said that the pupil belonged to a group who called themselves furries and identified with animal persona. The council said that it offered personal support and more specific support from a well-being worker. Now, what do you think that more specific support was? I have a couple of ideas. I don't think that they're appropriate to mention, but I mean, if you know, you know. I got nothing against furries, folks. It's just like you're just a person wearing a costume, though. Like furries used to know this, Morgan. They used to understand that they were just, playing. I don't want to say playing a game because it's not exactly what they were doing, but they understood that the costume comes off. Catch my drift. I mean, not during certain activities, but the costume eventually comes off. So they have recognized and acknowledged this child is a wolf and are now giving specific personal support from a well-being worker, whatever the heck that is. Got more coming up. You're tuned in to The Burning Truth.
Podcasts by Federated Media.